In the shadows of the Golden Gate Bridge and to the imposing backdrop of the world's most notorious prison, the T100 has landed in San Francisco. In one of the world's most iconic cities, we have all the ingredients for a truly iconic race. Welcome to Escape from Alcatraz. Expect the unexpected and embrace the drama. This is T100, where it's par for the course.
Previously on the T100 Triathlon World Tour. In Miami, a woman named India Lee announced herself to the world.
And she has just stunned the world. India Lee wins first ever T100.
While the Great Dane, Magnus Ditlev, shredded the men's field and heralded a new era.
Magnus Ditlev, the first ever winner of the T100.
Then on to Singapore. Brutal heat, humidity, and imminent threat of lightning. But it was the queen of 2023 who struck at her first race of the T100 season. Ashley Gentle kicked ass in Asia.
And right now, this is a beautiful moment as
she's done it.
And what a smile.
And then another new name, a wild card, Yuri Kulin, pushed himself to the edge of human endurance to win his first ever T100.
But in Yuri Kulin's eyes, he came here to win, and win he has. He crosses the line, he has won the T100 Singapore, the biggest win of his career. He collapses.
Who will tame the sea of Alcatraz in the hills of San Francisco?
Well, here we are, the iconic San Francisco Spirit, right next to the prison at Alcatraz, the famous site in triathlon history. And the men are off. We've got 3 men jumping. So that means everyone else has dived, but 3 men decide to jump it. It's 2.5 meters from that boat dive ramp. And it's only a 45 centimeter gap that they have to stand on. So it's one of those things where if your feet aren't in perfect position, you will slip and have to jump instead of dive, as we saw. This water, today we've got, if you're looking at your screen, we've got the wind coming directly from behind your back. So it's a westerly wind, but the undercurrent comes from behind the athletes. So that means that the chop, as you can see in your screen, is very high. So swimming into it, you can't really see because you're faced with this chop coming in at your head. So you can see the boat with the green buoy on top of it. That's actually a directional sighting buoy that will follow or will lead the athletes into the swim exit. So because it's so hard to see, they've made the decision to have that boat there as a sighting tool, because without it, there's real fear that the athletes could get lost on this course given how brutal and rough it is. You'll see that we've got so many support staff out on course. We've got the kayaks, we've got the stand-up paddle boards, we've got the speed boats, we've got the lead boat. The reason why is because this water's dangerous, it's treacherous, and we want to keep the athletes on course today because we really fear that without that they might have gone off course. You can see that the athletes, they're all wearing gloves, booties and thermal caps. That's compulsory today due to the conditions. It's really cold out there. The water has floated between 12 and 13 degrees all week and is that on race morning as well. And we're now joined in commentary by the 5-time world champion, 3-time Ironman world champion, 2-time 70.3 world champion, Olympic gold medalist. What hasn't he done, Jan Frodeno?
Good morning, everyone. What a morning it is, seeing all these guys in the bay and fighting the conditions, being guided. It looks pretty choppy already.
You can tell, Jan, that the athletes can't really see much. Like, there is a lot of gaps, 2-meter gaps that you don't usually see, that usually would be that 30 centimeter gap. You can see that Mika Newt is right there in the front group, as is Jason West. The front group has sort of splintered very quickly, but then stayed pretty similar. Like, we've got about 10 athletes over the first 20 meters.
I thought it was interesting when we just saw that image of panning back through the field that there are, as you said there, Jack, there are still athletes that are not that far back. So there's not a pack really, but at the same time, it's not pinged apart in quite the way that maybe we'd anticipated with this chop and this really tough swim. So there is still time left in this one for some damage to be done by our top swimmers, but so far they probably haven't lost quite as many athletes as they'd hoped.
you can see that Aaron Royal really has separated, and they've now got probably at least a 15-second gap back to third.
Yeah, it's amazing. You can see him looking up and struggling to sight. That is one of the things that Andy Potts mentioned to me earlier, is that current that pushes in seems to separate people. And you can see it very well over here, that people get separated sideways. They don't get separated. And it's crazy. This is something we haven't seen. These guys are heading straight for the rocks.
Yeah.
Somebody has realized
really
they're going the wrong way.
Yeah.
And that is, I think, more the camera angle. I don't think they're that close. But Andy did mention it's the current that just pushes you to an unknown where you're trying to get out. But I think these guys have seen the beach, and you can see Ben Canute actually here taking the line very late, because these guys want to touch the sand as fast as they can, and they are way back and going to be out first. That is Ben Canute, actually, who wasn't off the front.
And Matthias Margier with him, is it?
It's very tricky to tell from here. But now they've cut that swim short because of the conditions today. You can see the tide is fairly low, which has allowed them to get that advantage. And the front swimmers didn't realize that. They went out and were looking for the swim exit, but the actual chance to get feet on the ground, which is going to be much faster than any swim, any time. Race smart, you have to say. You have to read the conditions. It's tricky, you know, it's been perfect weather today. It's foggy and a little bit misty. And we've got our first timings in with Rico Bogan, actually. There we go, the young 70.3 world champion out on the feet of Ben Canute. Mika Newt right next to him. Martin Van Riel is in there. Javier Gomez, Aaron Royal, Rudy Van Berg, Clement Mignon, Carl Smith, and Alistair Brownlee just rounding out the top 10. So tactically, we've now got a 750-meter run to transition. Probably the first swimmers will round that up to a kilometer. They got out that early. And it's a long way. Rico presenting us some interesting fashion statements here. His cap has just half come off. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see as well. Everybody's wearing booties, which will probably relegate the fact that they've got shoes standing at the swim exit to do the run. It is that long. A few athletes had chosen to do so. And interestingly, also, Mika Note has chosen to take off his suit already. So everybody's running here in their wetsuits. Mika Note took it off at the swim exit in order to be able to run better, and he's going to have that advantage when he jumps onto the bike.
Yeah, they're not allowed to leave anything at the swim exit, but they are allowed to take things off and run with them in their hands. So some of them, as you can see, have got their gloves in their hands, and some have got a bit more than that, for example, with the whole wetsuit as well.
Amazingly, we're seeing Sam Long at the very bottom of your screen there with the pink sleeve on his right-hand shoulder. He's only 50 seconds off the lead. That is absolutely insane. Magnus Ditlev, you can see just in front of him, the tall figure who just touched his head then. That's Magnus Ditlev. This group's going to come together very quickly. Magnus and Sam, known as two of the strongest bike riders in the field. Everyone expected Sam Long was going to lose 6-7 minutes on this course, but he's 50 seconds down.
This is not what we predicted. Well, maybe it's what Jan Frodeno predicted.
I predicted it with Alex 5 minutes ago. I said the conditions could actually play in his favor because the current is that strong. He just gets washed up and he could be leading out of T1. Who would have ever thought that?
I mean, I bow down to you, Jan Frodeno. I thought this was going to be a race where we saw massive splits in the swim, but that has just not happened at all. And this is now Sam Long's best ever swim in a T100 race, probably best ever in any triathlon race.
It was a 2-kilometre swim and it took 14 minutes.
That is some serious current behind them there.
And that's what Andy Potts was saying, you know, the current was pushing out at something like 4 miles an hour, giving you basically, it's similar to swimming in a river, right? And that just pushes everybody's speed right up. And we're going to see these transitions. But also, interestingly, mentally now, for Sam Long, what is he going to do? I think he's probably a kid in a candy shop. He just cannot wait to actually unleash the hurt on these front runners.
So we're seeing Martin Van Riel here in the pink. Next to him is Rico Bogan. Matthias Margier's just come there with the orange triangle on his suit. Mika Newt there, Javier Gomez, Rudy Van Berg.
Matthias Margier, interestingly there, still wearing his neoprene cap. So he had a kilometer, which would equate to a good 3 minutes of running, probably. And he still hadn't prepared his transition. He would lose a lot of time here as he just comes out transition. Still ahead of Alistair Brownlee, Clement Mignon.
I've got to admit.
Is that Jason West?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Jason West.
Jason West came out of the water with Sam Long. I mean, that was not a scenario that we'd predicted at this point.
That's what I was going to say. I never thought I would see Sam Long and Alistair Brownlee going to their bikes in T1 together in my life.
No, not unless it's changed to a duathlon, but here we are.
If
This is the
you're-
T100 and I am buzzing. This is great.
Can you imagine what Sam Long's thinking right now? He's the most excitable person you'll ever meet in your life. Like, he just gets pumped about waking up in the morning. Can you imagine how excited he is to be in T1 with Alistair Brownlee and pretty much everyone?
Well, that's exactly actually what I was about to say to you, Jack. How, if you're Sam Long now, is the challenge actually controlling your excitement levels because of the fact that he is that excitable character. He's used to coming from behind. He's used to having to do pretty much the whole race on his own. Today, completely different scenario for him. And he's really going to have to just stay calm.
And as we thought, Kyle Smith, gosh, this makes my heart sing. No favorites here, but I do love seeing Kyle put down some power. He actually went and saw the bike course, came back, and he's like, you know what, I don't think it's that bad.
Yeah.
I think this course suits him to a T, and I really think he's got a good chance of taking yet another step towards the podium, which he hasn't been on yet.
So this first climb, yeah, it's 1.6 kilometres. It's got pinches of 10, 12% on it. It's really steep. We can see Sam Long also taking advantage of that. He's gone around Clement Mignon, Menno Koolhaas, Rico Bogan, Alistair Brownlee, Matthias Margier ahead. He's pushing up. I know we're seeing it, but I still can't believe it that we've got Sam Long here with Matthias Margier and Alistair Brownlee easy on the bike course, early on the bike course. And to your point, Jan, so this is the corner we just saw Kyle Smith take as well. So they're probably 30 seconds ahead of Sam Long here. So he is a little bit off the lead, but God, so much closer than you would have ever expected.
Oh, this is tricky. Oh no, technically that's very tricky what he's done. He's attempted a pass and he's fallen back. Yeah, that's not a tactically good move, but Sam Long powering ahead.
Jan, we've just got an update. It's happened again. Sam Long's got a penalty in transition.
My gosh. To Vicky's point,
He's left transition one without his helmet done up and he's got a 30-second penalty.
He's made a really basic error in just not having his helmet done up at the time that he moved his bike. It's just one of those really basic rules. You can't touch your bike, you cannot move your bike out of its racking place until you fastened your helmet, and he didn't do that, and now he will face a 30-second penalty on the run.
And the women are in the starters' hands now. You can see Alcatraz in the background there, Jan. They're actually quite a way away from it now.
but look at the current that is moving past the boat.
They could start at any time. It's a little bit precarious.
It looks eerie.
And we've got all dives, but about 4 didn't. 2 on the right, 1 at the left. Maybe it was 3 again who didn't dive.
I saw a fair few people didn't dive. You can see a pack forming straight away. Is it going to make a difference? We know the swim is going to be significantly shorter time-wise, simply because the current is pushing so hard. But yeah, let's see what these conditions are doing out there. We see a stand-up paddleboarder, and he's struggling to balance. I mean, these are professionals, you know, they're professional lifeguards, and it's bouncy out there, it's windy out there. Oh. As our 3 leaders have separated some more, Carl leading the guys up the hill. This would be the 2nd time around.
So this is the top of the climb. So this is back up the back side of it with Kyle and Martin Van Riel and Rico Bogan. They've extended that gap a little bit. It's sort of sitting at between 30 to 45 seconds to the big chase group behind them.
Which means they've made up 10 seconds in just half a lap. And we see Magnus Ditlev finally on the back of this group. Of course, this is his strength. It's a fairly long hill. I mean, a mile is actually a long way to climb. On the back of Sam Long, who I am most surprised. I would have thought he would take this by the horns, but maybe he's playing the patient game. Well, as we see the beach in the background, I do feel like we're a little bit further away from the swim exit just yet, but we can see all the sand in the background. You wonder if it's difficult to see from this perspective whether the girls are going to take that same line, cut in early on the beach, and realize that they're going to be much faster running than swimming. But there is a significant gap here for the three ladies. And Taylor Knibb so far is not having it all her own way. She might actually have some company at the front.
No, again, we were sort of anticipating that Taylor might not see anyone else all day. This is
Imogen Simmons, I think.
Incredibly interesting. So Imogen Simmons is on a very, very different line to Taylor Knibb, Paula Finlay, and India Lee. But has she found that magical current in the water there? Because it seems like, from the angle that we're seeing, it seems like she's taken the lead.
Wow, that current
She's taken the lead by a country mile.
She must have found an undercurrent there for sure.
Sam Long coming through, but again, it's not the Sam Long we probably expected to see tearing through the field. So far, he's either, you know, playing it conservatively, but I did also mention earlier on, he's done a lot of racing this year. He has done some very intense schedules. And, you know, someone like Martin Van Riel, Javier Gomez, these guys, they're starting to come into form. Traditionally in triathlon, we're used to peaking in kind of October.
Imogen Simmons has played an absolute blinder there in the way that she's found the current and headed straight for shore.
The tide is just a huge factor that's come in and pushed the water out, and it actually looks like, yes. Whilst the girls, they're not even close to aiming for the shore yet.
I think
Imogen's already running.
As you said that, Taylor did seem to just adjust her position a little bit and start heading straight for shore, but maybe she's realised, too late in fact, but maybe she's realised that she's taken slightly the wrong line.
Imogen Simmons is known for her IQ, a very smart person, so not actually that surprising to see.
Quick look back there, maybe she wasn't expecting to see no one in front of her, and in fact everyone, including Taylor Knibb, behind her at this point.
Fortune favours the bold, and we have Imogen Simmons leading the swim. Oh, this is fantastic.
And we said it at the top of the show, you know, this is the unique factor about this course, the swim. It can change things in ways that even we didn't predict, you know, and this is definitely one of those.
You can see the gap that Imogen Simmons has built to Taylor Knibb in second is quite big. We've got India Lee behind her, and then you could see that Paula Finlay and Kat Matthews were there as well.
Kat Matthews will be loving this. I mean, the bike course definitely suits her strengths. And I think people very much underestimate how fast of a runner Kat Matthews can be.
Yeah, Kat's proven time and time again over middle and long distance racing that she is one of the very, very best runners in our sport. And
Ash
for her
Gentle's
to be
here too.
as close as this at this point in the race, that's going to be very exciting for her.
So we've got Ash Gentle with Taylor Knibb's group out of the water. Again, this is just like the men. You probably wouldn't have predicted that at the start of the day. You definitely wouldn't have predicted Imogen Simmons being in the lead of Taylor Knibb. This swim course has just created carnage.
Ash Gentle, 40 seconds off the lead, but only 15 seconds behind Taylor Knibb. That is definitely a dynamic we just didn't expect to see, as Imogen is taking it stride for stride. And the fact that the water was that cold that everybody is obviously forced to wear gloves and booties. Everybody has decided to run without shoes, despite it being a long way.
Not a single athlete yet has stopped to put their shoes on. They've decided to take the run in their booties instead, which I think is a smart decision. I think you've got that little bit of protection for your feet with the booties, just if there's any gravel or bits on the ground. So no, everybody is actually just going without the trainers that they left down beside the swim exit.
So we've got Imogen Simmons, followed by Taylor Knibb, India Lee's there, Kat Matthews, Paula Finlay, Laura Phillip, Ash Gentle.
I think India Lee's been struggling a bit. There you go. She's just got that wetsuit down now. It seemed like she was struggling with that for a few meters along there, because everybody else had already got their wetsuit down at least to their waist, and India was still running with it fully zipped up. But she does seem to have made her way out of it now, and she'll be fine by the time she hits her transition point.
We've got Lucy Byram and Emma Pallant-Brown in this group as well. We've seen exactly what we saw in the men's race, where everyone is pretty much together, including swimmers that we would never have expected, like Emma Pallant-Brown, to be in this group.
As we see Imogen have a smile for a friend or a fan. The other thing you have to keep in mind, on such a long distance, you have to make sure you don't drop anything. I mean, you can see Imogen, she's carrying a lot of stuff. Taylor as well, she looks like she almost needs a bag to carry all these things. Because remember, if they drop something, that's 30 seconds of a penalty. So you want to make sure you don't lose any time unnecessarily here.
So Taylor Knibb here running in second. Kat Matthews has worked her way up into third through this long transition run. Laura Phillips there right with her, and India Lee.
That's a brilliant swim from Laura Phillip as well. Like, she's just another person who's been popped into that front pack, that main pack really, and there's only one that probably wouldn't have necessarily expected that and will be delighted to be in that position so early on in the race.
A testament also to the conditions is what you saw Ash Gentle just out of focus. She was shoving some alfoil or some heat foil down her top. Can show you it is cold out here. Slightly wet conditions. Staying warm is going to be a big part of the package as we see Taylor Knibb getting changed, taking off those booties and anxiously getting out there.
Yeah, these girls are hopefully not going to make the same mistake that we saw from Sam Long half an hour, 45 minutes ago. Hopefully a bit cleaner from all the ladies through transition.
So this is a huge opportunity for people. We've seen Taylor Knibb, she often comes into transition with a select group, maybe one or two swimmers, someone like Laura Brandon or Lottie Wilms, for example, but rarely do people like Ashley Gentle and India Lee and Kat Matthews, Emma Pallant-Brown, Paula Finlay, rarely do they have the chance to try and go with her out of T1. But that's the opportunity they've got today. Everyone talks about Taylor Knibb as being able to put minutes into everyone else on this bike course, but now these women, they've got the chance and the opportunity to try and stay with her if they want.
Yeah, they can see her getting onto the bike, which is just not normal for us in these races. You know, she's normally gone from the gun, and I, for one, thought that could actually happen here today, but it's not played out that way, and it could really change the dynamic on the bike.
Just to give you an idea of how quick that swim was, 17 minutes for Imogen up the front. That is a 51 second per 100 meter pace. So I don't want to take anything away from her, but that is definitely current assisted.
For reference, for our non-swim buffs watching, that is world record pace.
That is well under world record pace.
For simply a 100 meters in the pool. So that is how fast we're talking about these swims are. So yes, definitely a very strong current assisting them back to shore today.
Grace Tech having a bit of trouble getting out of T1 there, Jan, but we're back with the leader, Imogen Simmons.
Indeed, choosing to put her shoes on first, as Imogen Simmons is already powering towards the first climb. I think she's going to relish in this course.
So we're a little over, probably about 43, 44 kilometres into the bike now, so a little over halfway, and we've seen that Clement Mignon here sitting on the back of Kyle Smith, Rico Bogan and Martin Van Riel has made his way to the front of the group. I'd be interested to know, and what do you guys think? Has he picked up the pace, or is this pace from Martin Van Riel and Kyle Smith and Rico Bogan just slowed off just a little bit to allow him to get back?
I doubt it. These guys are riding to power. They'd be looking at their numbers. You know, the fact, you know, even Martin Mariel, he does have that watch and it's going to be showing his power output. They try and stick to their numbers. Maybe the first lap or so, you're a little bit more excited. Well, the line and the pace, this lady is taking Taylor Knibb off the front here, so she certainly doesn't have to worry about it. I mean, I'll be very keen to see her first split after a lap and how much time she's put into the next ladies. But again, this is something where I almost fear some of the slower men are going to have to watch out that they don't get caught. Oh no, what's going on here? Aaron Royal has handed his bike over the fence. Something's not gone right. He doesn't look hurt. That white suit still looks intact, so he hasn't crashed.
So behind the scenes, Aaron did get sick last weekend and he has been carrying a flu all week, so he was trying his best to get over it, but clearly has gotten the better of him in these conditions. I think if you've got sick 7 days ago and then flown all the way across to America from Europe. For him, I think it was about 14 hours-ish.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and clearly just not quite over it, so he's had to DNF, unfortunately.
Kat Matthews' entry into this race is also really interesting. She was not actually originally due to race here. She was in Hamburg last weekend, but she's had a very quick turnaround, just 6 days from being in full race mode in Hamburg.
Oh, Kat Matthews is stopping.
You're kidding. You're kidding me. Please, not again.
She's dropped her chain.
Oh.
And the chain's back on now.
Okay, that was
Chain's
pretty
back
swift.
on.
Not
All right.
ideal, but pretty swift as we see Laura Philipp round that U-turn. She's just going to overtake her as they get onto the bikes here. But yes, that's unideal, but she did deal with that pretty fast.
Back to Mathis Margier going off the front with Clement Mignon, and this is what I've been waiting for. It really surprised me how Mathis is playing it quite defensively, but he's obviously had enough and realizes if he wants to be on the top step, which I know he does, it's time to take a bull by the horns. How much damage can Taylor Knibb do? I do think she's best sorted to this course, but I did not think she'd put 3.5 minutes in 2 laps.
It's 4 minutes on Ash Gentle now. How is she so much better on a bike than everyone else around her?
I'd love to know.
It makes it look like the women around her aren't that strong, but these are the strongest time trialists in long course triathlon. You said it, Vicky. Paula Finlay, just like Taylor Knibb, won her national cycling road time trial championship. She won against professional cyclists, and Taylor Knibb's put 3 minutes into her over 30k.
It is mind-blowing. It's absolutely mind-blowing. And you know, at this point in the race, we ask the questions, has Taylor gone out too hard? Is she pacing this correctly? Like, what's her strategy being? But I still find it hard to believe that she's not playing it within the realms of the power data that she should be pushing to. I believe she's probably pushing exactly what she's meant to do at this point.
And let's see what Yo brings to the show today.
Yeah, I'm intrigued because up until this point, you know, when we saw him have that phenomenal swim and come into transition in touch with the leaders, we sort of expected to see him go right to the front of the bike and just say, see you later, everybody, and I'll see you at the finish line when I've won. But that hasn't happened, and that could be for one of 2 reasons. It could be because he's decided he actually doesn't need to put down the power on the bike that he has done in other races. He doesn't need to play catch up. He can play it smart. He can control the bike and unleash on the run. That's the fascination here. Has Sam Long got it all together on one day, or is the day of his best swim perhaps not the best day for his legs? This could absolutely be Kat's first T100 podium today. You know, that would be a really good result for her, I think. Nearly seeming to have maybe a little problem with her gearing there, but she didn't drop the chain, which is of course good news for her. But
Very timid around the corner, though.
Yeah, ultra cautious. I noticed that too.
Maybe that was after the incident she'd had on the previous lap there. But both Laura Philipp and Kat Matthews are exceptional runners in the sport, and for them to be, you know, this far up the course at this point in second and third position, I think is exactly where they would like to be, probably even further ahead of where they maybe hope to be at this point in the race. But yeah, fantastic runners, the pair of them, and maybe we could see both of them hitting the podium today.
And the men taking the final descent.
Sam Long finding the front for the first time today, Jan.
Yeah, and just when it matters. I mean, honestly, you only want to be at the front once, essentially, which is at the end of the run. But let's see if he can keep it up. He's going to have a little breather, meaning he's got a 30-second penalty. We saw the shots earlier on. If you missed them, he had his helmet unclipped as he got onto the bike. He was definitely nervous in that moment. I mean, he's done it a million times, and yeah, he got himself into this little deficit. But you always have to remember, 30-second rest is not only a bad thing.
We're coming into T2 here, and Vicky, I don't know if you know this, but we've got probably the world's leading expert in transition 2, Jan Frodeno. No one's better at telling us what we see. Jan, T2 Frodeno.
All right, here we go. Sam Long actually building a nice little gap. You know, these are little seconds, but he's going to have a rest. And in that rest, he's actually allowed to take on nutrition. As we see Mathis Margier, Carl Smith coming in there, Clement Mignon, Rudy von Berg, Rico Bogan, Mika Nut, Martin Van Riel,
Slip right to the back
himself right to the back.
For the helmet.
Obviously confident. So Sam Long is deciding to get changed first. Or maybe he's just taking his penalty a little bit later.
Yeah, well, Patrick, head of operations there, he would have maybe been delivering the message. I'm not sure what the conversation would have been. But you could hear them talking there.
Okay, so we've just had confirmation he can take it anywhere, meaning he's probably going to try and get a lap or two in his legs and create a gap there as Kyle Smith, here we go, has had a blistering transition. He's straight on his feet. And Sam Long, yeah, deciding not to take that rest straight away.
Yeah, that's interesting. And Kyle Smith is running really well at the moment. We saw him win a race in Chamarine just a couple of weeks ago where he ran through from a strong bike, but ran through to the front of the race. And the way he's running right now, he's sort of leaving Sam behind.
So Kyle Smith at the European Open last year, he was in a very similar position in a battle off the front where he ultimately took the lead 5K into the run. He said to me he wants to do that again, except hold it for another 13K. And he was always going to come and run aggressively at the start and try and hold on. But to see him run away from Sam Long out of T2, it's still like pretty crazy to actually watch it happen.
Oh, Alistair Brownlee, he's throwing, well, I wouldn't say he's throwing his bike, but he probably dropped it. He's not looking like in a world of happiness. But I think the train has left the station in terms of Alistair making it to this front bunch. Kyle looking very controlled at the moment. We'll see what happens if Martin can close that gap. I honestly think he will.
And Kyle Smith has missed the littering station, so he's just gone back to get that.
So let's clarify that rule. That must go inside the bin. It's not allowed to go on the ground, or it is littering.
Yeah, there is a littering zone, and then there is also the bin, and the only thing that is allowed to go on the ground is drinks.
Oh, that's really...
I think that billboard you can see beside the bin is probably where the littering zone ends, and so maybe he felt that he was just too close to that.
Well, you want to make sure you don't get disqualified, but I mean, you also want to make sure, you know, he's just basically given his lead away to Martin Van Riel, but let's see what the two can do together once they start.
So we can see that Sam Long has chosen to take his 30-second penalty here. Coming out of T2, he was in the lead with Kyle Smith and Martin Van Riel, and you could see that he had dropped back quite a bit, almost the better part of 30 seconds, and now he's out of the penalty box with that extra 30 seconds. So he's going to find himself about a minute, maybe a little bit more. So he's got a lot of work to do, but he has had the two fastest runs so far in both T100 races. So he gave the thumbs up to the crowd. You can see he's still excited and pumped and mentally in the race. Can he make up that minute deficit?
Rico Bogan looks, at least from this camera perspective, like he still wants to throw his hat in the ring. And we haven't seen this kind of dynamic in the race, like especially this kind of later of a stage. It's building to be a great grand finale. I mean, the pace is picking up. We're getting close to the finish. And right now, the adrenaline is building also in these athletes' minds. They're going through the various scenarios as we're coming in. Knibb is not having those exact same worries. But, you know, I'm building adrenaline here as they're coming.
Yeah, Knibb's not going to have too much company in transition, is she? She's going to be long gone before we see the next athletes. But this is where the action's happening right now. Strung out, 1, 2, 3.
You can see already here, now they're picking up the pace and they're fighting for the apex line on the inside. No, they just want to make sure they've got the shortest line.
I think they're picking it.
Rico's going early. This is way out. I mean, this is going to be a long way to the finish still.
There's still about a K to go. Rico Bogan's made his move. You saw Kyle Smith come up the inside. Rico Bogan didn't let him have it. He put in an extra move.
And right now, Martin's not giving him an inch.
Not an
inch. He's not playing it tactical. Now he knows this is the deciding moment. And it's all for gold and glory.
Kyle Smith came back up. He's overtaken Rico Bogan. Rico Bogan looks like he's hurting. He looks like that effort really hurt him and took it out of him.
Is that his youth showing again there, as you said earlier, Jan, with that potential tactical error of going into the U-turn for the attack rather than out of the U-turn? He went really early then, and maybe he spent a few too many pennies.
We're inside the final kilometre. Martin Van Riel sitting tight behind Rico Bogan. He has not left third spot for about the last 15 kilometres.
Oh, is he going again? Here he goes again.
Another move.
T100 providing the goods. This is absolutely epic, literally.
He's ragged, his arms are moving all over the place. It doesn't look smooth. His face is showing the exertion, the pain, but he's still
Kyle Smith's gone. Kyle Smith's gone. Rico Bogan, can he hold on? He's made his third big effort to try and break the group, but it looks like he's the one who's being broken as they get to the blue carpet.
Oh, my goodness.
This is the final corner coming up right now, and Kyle Smith's going to lead into it, but Van Riel is right on his heels.
Kyle Smith's gone.
Kyle Smith is putting down the hammer. Oh, my goodness. This is the best finish we have seen.
Rico Bogan's pushing up to Martin Van Riel. Can Martin Van Riel overtake him?
Martin's coming.
Oh, my God.
And for the first time in 15 kilometres, Martin Van Riel's seen the front of the race. The finish line is inside.
They're side by side.
Kyle
Still
Smith,
side
Martin
by
Van
side.
Riel. Martin Van Riel's in front. Martin Van Riel, Kyle Smith. Kyle Smith.
Oh, my goodness. We are going to need an extra camera angle. I think Martin Van Riel.
I think it was Martin Van Riel.
Oh, wow.
That's the effort.
That
is the effort of T100. And we are sat here, or stood here, unsure of who has won a T100 race. For the first time ever, we could not have had a better finish to that race. That was extraordinary racing from three classy athletes.
That's the best race I've ever seen. That's the best race I have ever seen. The amazing thing to me is that you have a lot of athletes, you know, they react differently once they're put under pressure. It's one thing to walk through a race and win it with 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes, but when it's to the wire, to show that mental tenacity, that's just amazing. As we see Taylor Knibb in a league of her own right now, let's be honest, she's way out.
Is anyone else on the run yet?
Yeah, just Kat Matthews.
There we go, Laura Phillip, third onto the run then. She's a minute behind Kat Matthews, roughly.
So Kat Matthews about 5 minutes down, Laura Phillip about 6 minutes and 15 seconds down. We've got Imogen Simmons a further 15 seconds or 20 seconds at about 6:40 behind in fourth.
Oh my God, I'm still buzzing.
I know.
That finish was too much for me. I need some sugar. I've gone.
We need to regroup. We've got another race on, guys.
We do.
People wouldn't have seen it, but me, Vicky and Jan, we're sitting here at the commentary booth. We've been sitting on seats the whole time, and then I looked around at the finish and we were all standing up on our seats with our arms up in the air. It was...
Let's be honest, T100 has just provided us with probably one of the greatest finishes in any...
At this level?
At this level, at this distance, for sure. But point blank, that was one of the greatest races I've seen.
Jan, you called me out on it. I like to say that everything's the greatest I've ever seen. I've stopped recently because I was saying it too much. I just love triathlon so much, but that might be the greatest finish I've ever seen. And we're joined with Alex. He's got our winner, T100 California champion, Martin Van Riel, the greatest finish in T100 history, that's for sure.
And he looks like he's barely broken sweat. Many, many congratulations. The guys and girls in commentary just saying that's the greatest finish to a race they've seen, certainly in T100. Just first things first, what was the thought process coming down that home straight? How on earth did you get that job done?
I don't even really know. Like, I didn't even expect that I was going to be grass in the finish stretch. I was like twice that I almost tripped, but yeah, I just gave everything I had, and I just had Kyle on the line. That was incredible.
Did you know you'd won it immediately? Because there was sort of talk of a photo finish, but you knew you had it?
Once I crossed the line, yes, but in the last 200 meters, I thought like 3 times, like, Kyle's gonna get it, but like, I just didn't want to stop sprinting and going all out, and was so close, but yeah, I took it in the end.
And what do you make of T100 as a whole and what it's doing for the sport?
I mean, it's incredible. Like, you saw the finish. Like, this is something that we haven't maybe had in a long time in long distance triathlon, and we get it here because T100 manages to get all the best in the world on the starting line. So I'm sure that there will be more close racing in the future as well, and I hope to be up front end as well.
Absolutely brilliant. We have so enjoyed watching you do what you do today. Congratulations. We'll let you go and continue with your recovery. Thank you very much indeed, Bernard Martin. Good on you. Top man. You race 100 kilometres and you lose it by 2 millimetres. I mean, you've taken it like an absolute champion. I know it isn't probably how it feels right now, but just put that into words, that finish.
Yeah, look, you only have what you have, you know. I gave it my absolute best shot, and I thought I was going to vomit for the last 600 metres, and I just thought, look, I just need to keep pushing and keep going harder. Then obviously I knew Martin was going to be tough to beat, but I gave it my absolute best shot, and look, yeah, he got it in the end by a couple of millimetres.
Do you feel immense pride at your performance? Are you gutted? Are you looking back now and thinking, if I could, I should, I would, that sort of thing? Or is it just, I left it all out there and in the end that's what happens?
Oh, I gave it my best shot, you know. It was a super tactical race, obviously. Yeah, you know, there's three, I guess we were the three best runners in the day today, so there's no point destroying ourselves, so it got quite tactical in the end, and I knew it was going to come down to, you know, a last K sprint finish, and obviously it did, and I just had to do everything I could to prepare for that. And yeah, I obviously wasn't expecting the grass. My hamstring started cramping coming down, but so were Martin, so it was a bit of a turtle sprint finish that. But yeah, it was good job to Martin, obviously incredible coming in from not racing long course for a while, and obviously, yeah, showing us what it's all about.
Tom, I don't know whether it's congratulations or commiserations, but it was an extraordinary finish to that race. Well done to you. We'll let you go and continue your recovery. Good on you, Tom. Man.
This really turned out really well.
We go back to the women's race. Taylor Knibb lapping athletes on a 4.5 kilometer lap.
I mean,
it's quite mind-blowing.
She is looking fantastic. I mean, she doesn't need to go absolutely all in on this run. With the lead that she built on the bike there, she could just take things a little bit more casual on this run. But right now, she's still holding a lead of over 4.5 minutes to Kat Matthews, and she looks really good. She looks very controlled, very composed. The stride looks good. And yeah, right now, can anyone get close to her?
Well, you know, I do know of Taylor that she knows every detail of the sport. She's very much into the intricacies and where athletes stand. And there's always a statement to be made. And, you know, she doesn't have any points on the board yet on a T100. This is the first one. And, you know, maybe that kind of her being compared to Ash Gentle, and forever somebody saying, you know, Ash Gentle is that much better of a runner. You need a 5-minute gap. He's like, I don't need anything. I can run just as fast on my day, and right now she's certainly showing that.
And this is Imogen Simmons coming towards us.
Our swim leader, of course.
Took the perfect line in the swim.
Took the perfect line by a long way too. And Kat Matthews seemed like she was holding roughly the same pace as Taylor Knibb. But Imogen Simmons having a good day, all things considered.
So we've got Taylor Knibb leading the race. She's about 4.5 minutes, getting closer to 4 minutes ahead of Kat Matthews in second. They're running very, very similar paces. We've got Laura Phillip in third, just 7 minutes and 10 seconds behind, running ever so slightly than Taylor Knibb, losing only about 1 or 2 seconds per kilometre to her. We just saw Imogen Simmons there in fourth. We've got Emma Pallant-Brown in fifth. She's moving through the field. She's running fast, but funnily enough, Taylor Knibb running faster than her, which not many people would have expected. India Lee, the Miami champion, is in sixth. Paula Finlay is in seventh. And none of them are catching Taylor Knibb. Taylor Knibb, of everyone except Kat Matthews and Ash Gentle, is the fastest runner on course.
As we see Ash Gentle soldiering on. Good on her.
It must be a really unusual position for her. She's down in eighth because Kat Matthews off the track.
Yeah.
So eighth, this deep into a run, you know, the better part of 10 kilometres into a T100 race. That's such a unfamiliar position for Ash Gentle. I'd love to know what the mentality and what her internal dialogue is right now. It must be very different to what she's experienced throughout her T100 career.
Of course, but I mean, she's just gone around that turnaround there. She's got a couple of laps to go. In the distance, you can see both Paula Finlay there on screen, and now as we pan out, we can see India Lee as well. So neither of those two athletes are so far in front of her that they're not catchable. And I think that will be what's going through her brain now, is to just keep putting one foot in front of the other and just try to tick off as many people as possible. She catches both of these girls. She puts herself back up into, what, 6th place, I think. So that's every time she moves past another athlete, that's super important for her rankings, for the points that she's trying to gain.
If you're racing to pop champagne bottles at the front, it's a different kind of motivation that you need in order to go as deep. I think, you know, as athletes, there is the old saying, a race is a test of exhaustion for everyone but the winner, right? Because the winner obviously, except in our case, I think in the men's race just then, everybody had a test of exhaustion. But very, very often, everybody else is pushing as hard as they can for as long as they can.
And now Taylor Knibb's here completely by herself. She's over 5 minutes ahead of second place, and third place is another 2 minutes behind. She can soak it in, she can take as long as she wants, she can enjoy the crowd and feel some satisfaction in this performance. It's just quite a contrast from the men's race, and yeah, it's what makes our sport so amazing.
She goes past Philip Zeit, just there, who is probably also just staring in awe, wondering how he's going to solve this puzzle, and I can tell you, it's one of those 5,000-piece puzzles that's got to be put together.
Yeah, those sunglasses are up on her head now. I think she's got a little smirk. Is she going to give this high five? No, not quite at high five territory just yet, but she's yeah, she's not quite ready to give the high fives out, but I think she is allowing herself the odd little smile now as she knows this race is done. She's going to be our T100 San Francisco champion, and gosh, she's put on a show for us all today. She's 200 meters or so from the finish line now when she passes that penalty box. Not got far to run, just got to take those final couple of corners and the home stretch on the grass. Quick check of the watch again, just make sure her pace is still okay. I think you're okay, Taylor. I think you've got it.
It'll probably be on auto lap. So most of these watches, they give you a split every kilometer or every mile, depending on what you prefer, as she hits this grass stretch for her very first T100 win of the season. What a way.
We'd probably put money on it not being her last, I think. I think this young lady, once the Paris Olympics is done, we're going to see a lot more of her in this series. And she's an exciting athlete to watch.
Well, Jan said it. Her first T100 race of the year, her first victory of the year. We've used the word dominant. I don't think it does it justice. Taylor Knibb is proving to the world, to herself, to everyone watching today, she is the best athlete in the world over the T100 distance, and she has completely dominated from start to finish today. Taylor Knibb, our T100 San Francisco champion, there are no words.
In San Francisco, with the first win in the T100, Taylor Knibb.
She's gonna...
Very impressive. She does, personally, I think she's got another lap in her. Look at her.
Yeah, she's gonna soak up all that applause now.
This is the best race of Kat Matthews' career. Second place to a flying Taylor Knibb, the only person in the same planet as her. You can see the expression on her face. She is stoked with this race. She's fist pumping the air. She couldn't be happier. What a race from Kat Matthews. Second place today at T100 San Francisco.
And there's that smile. Straight in for a hug. Ran through the finish line and straight in for a hug with Taylor Knibb.
Laura Philipp, her debut T100 race for 2024. Third place today in a stacked field. Taylor Knibb winning, Kat Matthews second, and Laura Philipp third. I don't know if many people expected this from Laura Philipp today, but she's proving to the world again she is versatile. She can perform over any distance, over any course, and today, the brutal conditions of San Francisco, Laura Philipp, well done.
Yes, dominance, one word, supreme, total control. Taylor is alongside, big smiles as you cross the finish line. The headline writers will say that that looked very easy indeed. How did it feel?
It did not feel easy, but it's a great course and atmosphere out there, and I was very grateful to do this race today.
Absolutely brilliant.
Like the adversity for you came on the swim course. That was the only time we didn't see you in the lead. Take us to the swim.
Well, so the swim,
I'll fight you, Jan.
I don't have a loud enough voice, but yeah, the swim, I dove in probably a little late, and then they were just like bodies. And one thing I had been given the advice of was that you dive into this water and everyone disperses. That didn't happen. But it was just like, get to the end, figure it out. And I saw, I think it was Imogen. She got like 30 seconds on everyone. I'm like, oh God. But I'm like, I think seeing the men really helped because I was ready for everyone to be there. And so it's like a new opportunity in terms of you don't always get everyone out in the water at the same time. And so then I was on the bike and I was like, I need to make sure what 20 meters are. I have 45 seconds to pass. And then once I was in the lead, I was just trying to like, I wasn't descending well. I wasn't taking the corners very well, but I was trying to be better each lap. So I think on the 5th lap, I finally nailed the one turn into the curve, like uphill.
Listen, well done to you today. We'll let you head out, continue with your recovery. Fantastic performance. Enjoy the moment.
Thank you very much.
Let's take a quick look at the men's results from today's T100 San Francisco race with the iconic Alcatraz in the background, which Martin Van Riel definitely escaped from today, winning our race in a sprint finish the same time, as you can see, with Kyle Smith and Rico Bogan in third, 3 seconds behind. That is, in my opinion, the greatest sprint finish I've seen since 2008, where Jan Frodeno won the Beijing Olympics. Magnus Ditlev, the robot, Mr. Consistency in 4th, Mika Noot in 5th, Matthias Margier in 6th, Rudy Von Berg in 7th, Sam Long in 8th, Clement Mignon, the specialist on hilly courses, in 9th, and Peter Hemrich, again, not seeing himself out of the top 10 very often in 10th. Taylor Knibb was out in front in a league of her own. Kat Matthews, really strong. One of the better races of her career. She ended up only 3 minutes and 46 seconds down on Taylor Knibb. You can see the difference in the bike split, though. That was the story of the day. Taylor Knibb came into T1 with everyone else in the swim, but the bike was where she separated. And Laura Phillips, she finished 3rd. Imogen Simmons in 4th. Emma Pallant-Brown in 5th. Paula Finlay 6th. Ashley Gentle, the big story of the day. It was supposed to be Taylor Knibb versus Ashley Gentle. Indy Lee, she won Miami. She was down there in 8th. Laura Madsen in 9th, and Tamara Dewar with the fastest run of the day in 10th.
We promised you at the start the unexpected. It has been drama from start to finish. And at the end of it all, Van reels them in and Taylor too swift. We shall see you all in London. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thanks for your company. Bye-bye.